Hey everybody, welcome to Comics with Bueller. As always, I'm Bueller. Today is episode 63 of the new Coffee and Comics show. This is where we show you some great books, we drink some awesome coffee, we read some of the comments you guys left on our previous videos. As you can see, I am not alone. I got my good friend Bob with me today. Bob, how are you?
I'm doing well. How about you? How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Today's been a pretty good day. We've actually had a couple cups of coffee so far, so that's kind of nice.
Yeah.
But as always, we start off with the coffee that we're drinking. And my coffee is brought to you by Mocha Express, the official coffee shop of Comics with Bueller. And today, guess what I'm drinking?
An eggnog latte.
An eggnog latte because it is still available. I'm going to drink it until it's gone. And I hope it is never gone because it's so good. What are you having?
I also, from Mocha Express, I have a green tea with vanilla sweetener. I'm still on my diet. Lost 47 pounds so far. Very happy about that, but I am coffeeed out for the day, guys.
You need more coffee, man. I'm going to take a sip of mine. It's really good. I can't get enough of this. I really can't. I'm going to get huge. Here, you're losing weight.
I am.
I'm drinking eggnog by the pound. I'm gaining weight left and right.
It's okay. I got a program for you when you're all done.
Okay. First of the year, resolution, lose some weight, stop drinking eggnog. I'll see what I can do.
There you go.
There you go. We got a great show for you guys today. A ton of great stuff. First thing I want to do is I want to do our giveaway because we had the giveaway last week. We have this book right here, Militia, issue 1 through 5. It is the giveaway. We have the winner. We'll tell you right now. The winner is Coffee Breath. You are the winner. Congratulations. All you got to do is just leave me a comment down below. Let me know your information. You can send it to the email in the description, and we'll send it out to you first thing. But we also have another giveaway for this video as well. It's also brought to you by the same publisher, which is Blackbox Comics. We'll be showing those books at the end of the video. So if you want to enter that, all you have to do is leave a comment and all that good stuff. But thank you so much, Blackbox Comics. These are going out to Coffee Breath. Congratulations once again. He won just because he left a comment, and that's all you have to do to win. So
that's awesome
cool
stuff. Can't beat that.
Can't beat that. Let's go ahead and cover a couple other things. We're thinking about doing a live stream this week, maybe Thursday or Friday. Me, Bob, and none other than Sam from Sam's Tangled Web, three Pacific Northwesters. We might even get a fourth in here if we can. Sleepy Reader, we'll see what he's doing. Maybe he's free.
That would be awesome.
That would be really cool. Could you guys handle 4 guys from the Pacific Northwest all on the stream together? It might just be too crazy.
All talking comics.
It should be a lot of fun.
It would be, I think. I can't wait for that.
Yeah. But let's go ahead and jump into our first 5.
All right.
What we do first 5 comics, and we do a final 5 comics. We each get to show 5 books, talk about them a little bit, and then we'll jump into our subject today. And our subject is a lot of fun, a lot of great comments to discuss. If you guys aren't aware of what the subject is, what we'll be discussing is, are you a Rob Liefeld fan? That was the question that we asked on our Wednesday sneak peek video. There was a bunch of comments on that. There are probably going to be even more. But we picked out some of the better ones, and we're going to read those and discuss and tell you why some people are and some people are not a Rob Liefeld fan. I'm a fan.
Yeah, you put your cards right on the table right away.
I'm a fan. Okay, so let's go ahead. I'll go first with my first 5. And I'm taking a little bit of liberty because it was too hard for me to narrow these books down to just 5 books. So I got like 1 extra.
All right.
Okay. First one right here, Justice League number 19. Look at that Rob Liefeld current goodness right there. Definitely has its own style.
Yep.
You can definitely tell whose cover that is. Rob Liefeld.
I particularly like that one because he doesn't normally do DC stuff.
Yeah.
So I have that one. I really enjoyed it.
Very nice. Youngblood, number 11, Rob Liefeld. Nice female character on the front there. Looks very nice. I enjoy it. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. We're going to move on to some classic Marvel stuff. This is X Factor number 50. This is McFarlane and Rob Liefeld working together, putting out one of my favorite X Factor covers.
Can't beat that.
Very nice. I'm
very nice.
Paying attention to this guy. We have the New Mutants run, and this is probably what he's most famous for, or what brought everyone to his attention. This is number 94, some great Cable and Wolverine action. And then my last book is New Mutants number 97, more Wolverine Cable action, and this one was autographed by Rob Liefeld. I didn't even realize it was. and I found it sitting in my collection, autographed right there,
Nice.
by Rob Liefeld.
That's pretty awesome.
It is awesome. Very awesome. Okay, you want to show your 5?
Sure. So I brought some Youngblood books today because it feels like Rob Liefeld Day.
There you go.
So I got Youngblood number 4. Then I got Youngblood Strike File number 2. Always
Nice.
liked this one. Those 90s covers from Image I absolutely loved. And then this is Youngblood number 3. I think this is from the newer run, but Liefeld does do the cover on that. I like that one. And then we have 2 issues. Well, we have issue number 3 again. I think this was an alternate cover, but again, I like that one.
Very nice.
And then we have issue 0, which came out after issue 1.
Man, those 0 issues.
I know. Every time.
Every time.
But there we have. There's my first 5.
Those are awesome. Rob Liefeld at his peak right there.
Some
great
goodness.
looking Image books. Love it.
For sure.
Okay.
That was when he was a total rock star.
That's right. Rockstar. Okay. So we're going to get into it right now. Like I said, this is a question we asked on our sneak peek video that comes out on Wednesdays. And the question was, are you a Rob Liefeld fan? And we're going to go ahead and read some of the comments that people left us right there. Very first one I have is from Terrell Jeffries. I love Rob Liefeld. Against Image, everything just looked retro in terms of style in the 90s.
That's a great comment.
Yes.
It really is.
I think it is.
And if you look at a lot of the stuff that was going on back then, I think Rob Liefeld's covers kind of started a trend in comics, right? I think if you look at what Jim Lee did, some of the stuff that McFarlane did, the in-your-face, fill in the whole page.
The in-your-face. I love that in-your-face. That's exactly the type of stuff that he was doing.
Absolutely. I think there was a lot of artists that followed that trend, and he's right. I mean, a lot of the stuff that was around it looked retro compared to that. And so I think that's a great comment.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think one of the appeal to those 90s Image books, it popped off the page. I mean,
Absolutely.
the artwork popped off the page. Maybe the stories weren't that great. Let's just be totally honest. They were lacking as far as content for story-wise.
Right.
But the images and even the pages in the book, very detailed, very artistic. I mean, the pages in the book look just like the cover.
Yep.
And a lot of times you don't get that. A lot of times you get the cover, looks really good. The images on the pages are kind of lackluster or maybe not live up to that. The one thing about Image, the cover pages or the pages in the book look almost as good as the cover.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think writers, kind of got a bad rap back in the day because the 90s, it was all about the artwork. That's what everybody was buying.
Yeah.
Great covers, great artwork, and you really couldn't care less about the story back then. And which, kind of sucked because if your name wasn't Neil Gaiman or Alan Moore, nobody cared.
Yeah. The next comment I have is from the Venomized Beard. That's a great name,
Love
right?
that name.
Venomized Beard. He is a Rob Liefeld fan. It says, love Rob. I know he had the chest cover, but overall, I really enjoy his work.
I like the quotes on the chest.
Yeah, it's in quotes. That's pretty cool. So he's referring to the Captain America chest cover.
The famous Captain
Very
America.
famous. Now, I think my theory is he did that on purpose. And maybe he's said something since then about it or whatnot. It's obviously very identifiable.
Sure.
What's going on there? It doesn't make sense.
No, it
It's
doesn't.
the Dolly Parton of it's the Dolly Parton of comic book covers.
Right. Well,
Male version.
I mean, I'm gonna talk in his defense for a second because I think if you look at the origin of comic book art, Kirby started the whole exaggerated movement, and so this was definitely an exaggerated chest, and I'm gonna say that he tried to exaggerate the artwork there to make it look like this guy was completely huge.
I believe the word is enhanced.
Enhanced. There you go.
Enhanced. There you go.
I'm gonna go with that just to be nice.
Some people pay a lot of money to get enhanced.
This they do. They pay tons of money to
That's
get enhanced.
right. Okay. Next comment. That's for you. You're up there, Bob.
All right, and this comment comes from Alvin Lazada, and he says, "Not a fan of Rob. But don't get me wrong, I don't hate the guy. His style of misproportioned body parts and pouches are not my thing. He does sell books, got to give it to him as an artist. You must evolve through time. So it would depend on him, on how his art would evolve. What do you think about that?
I think it's an interesting comic because the word evolve, when they talk about his artwork, and I know that Rob Liefeld, he gets a lot of flack sometimes. When you look at his work, I'm looking at some of his work right now. I'm looking at his New Mutants book, and I'm looking at a Major X book. And you can see similarities, but they are different. And they're quite a big different. Now, I don't know exactly if that considered to be different bad or different good. Mm-hmm. It's just different.
Yeah.
And having a body of work that goes back 30 years, you're always going to be comparing your work that you've done in the past type thing.
Right.
So if his body of work started right now and Major X was a brand new title and he didn't have anything beforehand, would he still have the same criticism that he gets today because of that work in the past? I think that's something you have to look at. You kind of have to take his current work, what he does now, for what it is. It is his current work.
Sure.
His art style has evolved, and like I said, some people might think that's a bad or a good thing type thing, but the fact that it's still evolving and it's still being out there is a huge thing. So I think that's a pretty awesome thing to have, is this, to be in the industry for this long and still making books and still being talked about. We're doing an episode about him right now.
Absolutely.
I think that's pretty cool.
I think it's cool as well. The thing about it is that, when you are an artist, everybody's going to judge what you're doing. And when you talk about evolving, you have to constantly be at your craft, at your art. And one of the things I do have to hand it to Rob Liefeld, because I do watch some of the streams he does on Instagram, and I do see some of the stuff he does on YouTube. And when he's put out some new work, sometimes he'll bring his journal. And you can see he's still doing new stuff inside of his journal, right? So it's not like he's let art go and then he's just, doing it on the fly. Because it looks different, I don't want anybody to really get the impression that he's let go or he's not as good as he used to be. His art has evolved. Yeah. Whether you like it or not, that's subjective. But the guy, you got to hand it to him. He still loves art. He still loves to draw. Yeah. Otherwise, he wouldn't keep an art journal. And so, I think looking back on his body of work in the beginning, I think he had something to prove. Yeah. And that thing that, came out with, he replicated it and it was very good at it and he pumped it out. But you can't stay in that.
Yeah.
So eventually you have to move on from it, just like the 90s did. You can't put pouches and big guns on there anymore. You're going to do something different.
I kind of miss it.
In a way I do, but you can't stay with that the whole time.
Yeah. But I do kind of miss that. I do kind of miss the flamboyant type, because the books I remember are like summer blockbuster movie type books.
Sure.
Big, colorful, and explosions and pouches and all this great stuff. And now things are a little more subtle. But I kind of miss stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then every now and then, and what a nice thing that you can always tell, I can look at another artist and look at their work and say, yep, they were influenced by Rob Liefeld.
Yep, absolutely.
And you can see it in there. And you can see other influences as well.
Sure.
But now this generation of newer artists, they grew up with Rob Liefeld. They grew up with Todd McFarlane. And you see it in their artwork. Little things here and there, very similar.
Absolutely.
And, kind of the same way how probably Rob Liefeld or Todd McFarlane saw artists from their generation or before their generation and took those, okay, we're going to do it like this.
Right.
So it's kind of neat to see how it's evolved.
Absolutely. And his influence reached beyond just, the comic books and other comic book artists. It hit the movies as well.
Yeah.
There's a scene inside of the original Men in Black where Tommy Lee Jones and
Will Smith,
right, are looking at a spaceship leaving and they pull out these huge guns to take it down. Yeah. I was like, that's Liefeld, man.
That's Liefeld right there. That's cool.
So I think, he influenced a lot more than just comic books.
Awesome. Well, you got one other comment on there.
Absolutely. And this one comes from Andrew Deutschman, and he says, not a fan. Not a fan of how he acts and some of his antics or how often he delays. The delays are rampant with books he works on. I'm a huge fan of Cable, Domino, Shatterstar, and Warpath. I love X-Force and its many forms after Rob left the book. Also, his style I like. It's very 90s, but that's how I picture and prefer many of the X characters. So he's not a fan of how he acts, but it sounds like he likes his artwork.
Yeah. Now, let's talk about how he acts.
Sure.
I find it extremely entertaining.
I do too.
Unfortunately, I can't watch his stuff on Instagram right now.
Why is that?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll get to that
All
later.
right.
But, I've seen his stuff on Twitter and YouTube, and his voice that he shares about the comic book industry, whether you agree with him or not. And I often told you this. I said, maybe he's right. He might be right. He said some pretty elaborate things that people did not enjoy.
Nope.
Okay.
I was one of them.
Yeah. But, and then things come to light, and like, wait a minute. There's some factors in there that, even though he pointed them out, we're like, oh, what is he talking about? And then fast forward a few months later, and some of those factors pop up. It's like, wait a minute. Maybe he does know or whatnot.
Exactly.
But as far as his entertainment value, extremely entertaining guy.
For sure.
Very energetic, passionate, loves his work, loves his craft, loves comics, and he's dedicated to it here 30 years later.
Absolutely.
And I enjoy that. I enjoy seeing that passion. I see the same passion in him as I did Stan Lee.
That's a great point. Yeah. That's a great point.
Years later, okay, obviously Stan Lee lived a very long life. Rob Liefeld is, he's older than he used to be, but he's nowhere near the age of what Stan Lee was.
Right.
I will not be surprised, and when Rob Liefeld gets to that age, he's still the same way he is now. He's
Absolutely.
Still Deadpool and all for it and gun ho and all that stuff. Same type of guy, and I think that's awesome.
Absolutely. I've had a chance to see him on a couple of different web shows like Collider Heroes, Marvel Movie News, and he's come to promote talking about the Deadpool movies coming out, and seeing his characters up on the big screen. He's like a little kid.
Yeah,
he's so excited about it, and I love that enthusiasm, that energy he brings to it. And anytime I see him or he's highly entertaining.
Yeah.
Out of the big three from the '90s, going forward, I would pick him to be probably the Stan Lee of the bunch.
Yeah.
McFarlane will be the Kirby of the bunch, the old curmudgeon, right? And and then you have Jim Lee, who will always be quiet. And I shouldn't say that about him.
That's all right. This is me not agreeing with Bob again.
And then you have Liefeld, who's the total promotion man, right?
Yeah.
And so anyway, I just think it's funny. But go ahead.
Okay, so this next one is from Kintoon Cal. I think I got that name right, but I probably didn't. I started generally collecting comics in 1990 when Days of Future Present and Extinction Agenda were released. So Rob Liefeld's New Mutants run had a big part in getting me interested in superheroes who didn't appear on TV. I used to post comments frequently on his forum, A Miller World. Sadly, I unintentionally offended Rob, quoting one of his favorite movies. Afterwards, he banned me from his message boards and blocked me on Twitter. I found his early artwork appealing because clothing often had wrinkles, savage characters had plenty of fur, and guns had smoke emerging from the barrel. So I wanted to read that one, obviously, because I have something in common with this gentleman right here.
Yeah, what is it you have in common?
Rob Liefeld, if you are watching, you have blocked me on Instagram. I didn't. I hope I never offended you. I didn't mean to offend you. I actually put out a bloopers reel when I was doing one of my top 10 videos, and it was a blooper of me laughing when I was talking about one of his books.
Oh, wow.
It didn't have anything to do with the book. I was just laughing. I thought it was funny. So I don't know if that's what it was. Rob Liefeld, I'm a huge fan. Please, if you're watching this, feel free to unblock me on Instagram so I can watch your videos. He did say hello to me on Twitter, which was nice. And he thanked me for some kind words I throw his way, so I'm not blocked on there.
Right.
But he is a gentleman, Rob Liefeld, who enjoys social media.
Yeah, he does. That's for sure.
He's on it all the time.
All the time.
He's tweeting all the time. I believe he's probably on Instagram all the time. Like I said, I wouldn't know. But I've been told, I've been forwarded stuff by people, and I can't even watch it. So what are you going to do? But, he mentions the New Mutants.
Yeah.
And there's some facts I wrote down about Rob Liefeld. Okay, the New Mutants title was the least selling title for the X titles.
It was.
Until he took over.
And
then he took over, and it was one of the best selling titles in the Marvel lineup.
Absolutely. He became so exciting after that.
Yeah. And he took over for a few issues for I think it was the last 15, something like that. And of course, what did we get from that? We got X-Force.
And a slew of new characters.
Yeah, slew of new characters, all that good stuff. Now let's talk about some of the characters that he brought to life. Deadpool, obviously, is the big one. Mm-hmm. Cable, another big one.
Yep.
Domino, Shatterstar, X-Force, like I said, Youngblood, Supreme, Prophet, just to name a few, and most recently, Major X.
Major X, that's right.
Now, will Major X see the success that some of those will? Time will tell. You never know. Mm-hmm. But it would be kind of interesting. But those are a lot of characters that he created or co-created that are headline characters.
Sure.
Now, I want you to think about something. I want you guys to think about this as well. There's a lot of movies out there for comic book movies. Majority, if not almost all of the movies that are out there, are characters that have been around for 50 years.
That's right.
There's one, maybe two characters that are successful movie franchises that have only been around 20 or 30 years. One is Deadpool. Mm-hmm. Another one, if you want to call it, is Venom.
Venom.
If I'm forgetting one, you let me know. I mean, if you want to throw Hellboy in there, you can or whatnot. Unfortunately, it's kind of seen some lower box office type thing.
Right.
But out of all the Marvel movies and DC, the major two, is there anything else that you can think of that's a more recent character?
Nope, I can't. I mean, even Blade. I mean,
Blade's been around forever.
Forever, yeah. Exactly. And so you're exactly right. There's, I mean, there's not very many of them that are new characters. That have been brought to media the way you're talking about.
So the two characters from the '90s, Deadpool, obviously really popular, and then Venom. Mm-hmm. That's it. Those are the two you get. And who were those made by?
Well, McFarlane did Venom.
McFarlane did Venom.
And Rob Liefeld did Deadpool.
That's right. Both two gentlemen who decided to leave Marvel and go do their own thing.
Right.
Type thing. Which is pretty cool.
Absolutely. And you know, let's be honest. I mean, the buzz around Deadpool 2 was about the fact that we were going to get X-Force.
Yeah.
Right? And so there's these other characters that are, you know, part of, you know, his body of work that people are really excited about.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong with that stuff, and that says something about what he's done.
Yeah. All right. You got the next one out there by Tony.
Right. Tony Miles says, not really a fan.
Man, why are all yours start off not really a fan?
I don't know. I mean,
somebody picked those for you.
Exactly. He says, not really a fan. He seems to be very hit or miss. Some of his work is actually nice looking, while much of his work is very awkward and unrealistic looking. It's like on some days and on some poses, he's on point. Mostly, though, it's like he has no concept of anatomy or perspective. Woo! But he's been in the industry for so long, he must have a real fan base. Why else would he still be getting work? Well...
Well, Tony, he does have a very strong fan base.
He does have a strong fan base.
Very much so. And it's, for the most part, it's people our age that are his fans. They kind of grew up with him in the 90s and all the stuff that he did. I mean, he was the... You know, Donny Cates is not an artist, okay? He's a writer of the books. But Donny Cates is kind of considered kind of the rock star right now of comic books, if you want to put that label on him.
Right.
Rob Liefeld was that guy in the 90s.
Right.
He's literally on Levi commercials.
You know, that's right.
On TV. He's hanging out with, like, Eazy-E and the rappers and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. The guy is cool, all right? The guy... is cool.
He was. I mean, back then he was a complete rock star.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, out of all the guys in Image, he was highlighted the most because of the persona that he had. He was a great looking guy, and his artwork was, I mean, it was cutting edge.
Well, I might not have found him as attractive as you do.
Hey, thanks a lot.
But to each their own, right? But some facts really fast. How many copies of X-Force do you think sold?
Well, I know the very first issue was more than what Spider-Man sold. I think it was somewhere around 3 million, 2.5 to 3 million.
X-Force sold 5 million copies.
Oh, it was 5 million.
It's the number 2 selling comic of all time behind X-Men.
X-Men, right.
Which sold about 8 million copies. I mean, that's a lot of people.
It's amazing.
Reading your book and looking at your artwork type thing.
Right.
You know, Tony also talks about the proportions of the anatomy and stuff like that. I've always had a problem with people, it's just not too proportioned, you know, and obviously a lot of times it's always reflected on the ladies that are in the books. Well, I don't know a lot of guys that look like Superman or Batman either.
Nope.
With big, huge chests and all that stuff, you know, and muscles everywhere.
Sure.
That never really that doesn't look like anyone I know, type thing. Definitely not me or you.
Right. Yeah.
But I think that the exaggerations kind of are the appeal a little bit to comics because they're supposed to be, hero and macho. I don't know if you want to use that term, but just like big hulking and we're a hero.
Yeah.
We're here to save the day, and you look up and like, wow, that's that person or whatnot. So I actually like the proportions being a little bit exaggerated. I think it goes adds to that character. Sometimes you do go overboard. Obviously, we refer to the Captain America chest. That's a little bit much. I mean, he had like a village on top of his chest, on top, like people living on there type thing. It was so big. Mm-hmm. But I don't mind it that much. I think it actually works out pretty good.
I think so too. I mean, you really cannot use that as a criticism. I mean, let's take a look at McFarlane for a second. He drew characters and poses that were inhuman, right? I mean, how many times did you see him? And I think you even talked about when he came to your high school.
Yeah.
But there's even a famous Stan Lee video where he just tells Stan Lee the same thing he told you guys. Draw 2 lines.
Yeah.
And with those 2 lines, he comes up with this crazy pose, but because it was so exaggerated and coming at you, it was incredible.
Yeah.
And Rob Liefeld did the same thing. And so I think, the disproportion thing, he gets a bad rap.
Yeah.
And I think, really when it comes down to it, people got nitpicky.
Yeah.
And he became the brunt of it because he was, I think, an easy target.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know if you can use that as an argument.
Okay, I got one last comment here. This is from the Comic Club.
All right.
Very cool. It says, Rob Liefeld is a better artist than I am. Sorry, Comic Club. I respect his artistic talent. Beyond his artwork, he has contributed greatly to the business of comic books, as well as to the hobby. For that, I am grateful to him. I would love to meet him someday, not to get his autograph, but just to shake his hand and to thank him for his contributions to the world of comic books. If you should ever happen to read this, Rob, I wish you well in all you do. A happy and prosperous 2020 to you and yours, the comic book pusher. I like it.
That's a nice comment.
I like the comment. The Comic Club, he's a comic book shop owner.
Yeah.
Okay, he's probably seen thousands of Rob Liefeld covers come through his door. Mm-hmm. Books. But he didn't focus on his artwork or his books or whatnot. He focused on what he's meant to the comic book industry himself.
Right.
And I think he doesn't get enough credit for what he did do to the comic book industry.
For sure.
Because he changed it. There's only a few people that you can sit there and say, I changed this. I changed the way this works. Okay? You can go, like, if you want to look at sports, you can look at sports, you look at basketball. You can only name a handful of people that actually changed the game itself the way it's played today.
Right.
There's only a few handful of people that you can say changed the way comics were made, produced, came out, looked. He's on that list.
He has to be.
He has to be on that list. And that's a huge contribution. I mean, he's right there with Stan Lee. Now, obviously, there is a Mount Rushmore. Stan Lee's right at the top of the Mount Rushmore.
Yep.
But the guys that are right below the main guys, he's one of them.
He did.
Todd McFarlane's one of them. Jack Kirby, all these guys. Steve Ditko. I mean, these are all guys that changed comic books for the better. Whether you like it or not, he changed it for the better.
Absolutely.
And he started at such a young age. I mean, he literally started in his early 20s. He was making these books. And he's still doing books today.
Yep. Absolutely. You can't fault the guy for being, his personality and all those type of things. If you're into comic books, his contributions to what we love so much has influenced it from the 90s on. I am still constantly blown away. You talk about movies. McFarlane was one of the big three from back then. I mean, how many new characters did McFarlane come out with? Yeah. All we know really is Venom. Besides the stuff to be pre-Image, right?
Spawn, but that was after.
Pre-Image, right?
Yeah.
And so, but pre-Image, he came out with Venom.
Spider-Man? Was that him?
Yeah, he was on Spider-Man.
Okay.
I'm talking about new characters he created, though.
Yeah.
Jim Lee. I mean, how many new characters did Jim Lee create inside the X-Men, right? But here comes Rob Liefeld. He gets onto the book. Not only does he change the face and course of that book to become one of their biggest sellers, but he creates a body of characters that are still going today very strong.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you cannot have a Mount Rushmore or a a pantheon of the greats without mentioning his name, for sure. And I love Comic Club's comment, definitely showing some appreciation for what he's done for our for the hobby that we love.
I definitely put him in the top 10.
For sure.
The top 10 as far as comic book creators of all time, what they've contributed to the comic book industry, he's in the top 10. And, probably towards the middle, to be totally honest.
Right.
And it's pretty good. I can't complain one bit. I've been a fan of him from very early on.
Absolutely.
You could identify his books right off the bat. Boom, Rob Liefeld book. I know exactly what that is.
Yep.
You can still do that today.
Yep, absolutely.
So
everything. And so, and again, with the Mount Rushmore, there is many names we could mention. Maybe we'll have an episode sometime. Are you a Neil Adams fan? We'll have to maybe do that sometime.
Yeah,
because he would be on the Mount Rushmore. Anyway, love this episode. I love talking about this guy because no matter whether you hate him or you love him, you have to acknowledge him. And I prefer to let everybody know that I am a huge fan of Rob Liefeld, and I just think he gets a bad rap. Very
cool. Well, as you guys all know, I am as well.
For sure.
Very much. Got a couple autographs. Hopefully, after this video comes out, I can watch them on Instagram. That's the goal of this video. That's the real reason we asked the question, was to try to get his Instagram freed up so I can watch him.
Yeah, and I think I might have single-handedly got myself blocked by Todd McFarlane, but anyway.
Yeah, no, that's a whole other thing. But that was a great question. I really enjoyed reading this. We wanted to do something kind of fun for the holiday, but we're going to move on. We have our next question, which will be on the sneak peek video this week that comes out on Wednesday. And that question is, are comics too expensive? Whether that be the cover price or just expensive in general for back issues, what do you think that is? Do you think they're too expensive? Do you think they're right on the money? Do you think they should be a lower cover price? You let us know in the sneak peek video that comes out on Wednesday. That's when we'll be asking that question. That's where you want to leave your responses. And then we'll talk about it next week on the new Coffee and Comics show. Okay, so we're going to move on now to our final 5 books.
Final 5.
And we're sticking with the Rob Liefeld theme, of course. So actually, if you want to take those are yours, I believe. Actually, if you want to go first this time, you can. How about that?
All right. And so... So I did bring a few X-Force books. There's X-Force number 9. Of course, just about every X-Force book has got Cable on the cover. Can't go wrong with that.
Look at those guns and pouches.
I'm telling you. That's one of my favorite Cable covers.
Nice.
And then here's one that we didn't mention, which is Brigade from Image Comics. Here's Major X number 2. Had to bring that one.
There you go.
And then probably my favorite cover that I have in my collection, which I'll be getting signed by him eventually, Wolverine number 155. I absolutely love that cover.
Yeah, you just showed that like the other day.
I did. I just showed it the other day, but I can show it like all the time because I love it.
That's it. Okay. It fits. It's Rob Liefeld.
There we go.
All right. So let me show mine. And full disclosure, I've got a couple extra books because I want to show the full run of this. So we have Major X 0. And Rob Liefeld wrote the story. He did some of the artwork. He did all the covers, or at least the main covers. But he wrote the story. And I actually enjoyed the story. I thought it was pretty good. And I read every one of them. And it kind of reminded me of old 90s style comic book, the way it read. So I liked it. Here's number 1. Look at that cover right there. All the goodies on there. Here's number 2. We don't coordinate our efforts here, even though we have the same comic book. We didn't know. Here is number 3, Major X. Number 4, all Rob Liefeld goodness. Let me set those down so they don't fall. Number 5, more Rob Liefeld. And last but not least, number 6. This is the whole set for Major X. All Rob Liefeld covers, Rob Liefeld story.
It's good stuff.
Did you ever read it?
I did. I actually liked it a lot. Number 6 is my favorite cover out of the run.
Nice.
It's good stuff.
Yeah, I liked it too. I thought it was entertaining. Hopefully he does another one, but I don't know. I don't know if he's getting along with Marvel right now. It's hit or miss with that guy.
Exactly. But I mean, knowing how Marvel is, I'm kind of interested to see how this is going to fold into the X books, and we'll see how that is going forward. But
what if it all has to do with Major X?
That would be pretty weird.
That would be so bizarre. But I think it'd be awesome. It's all about the mother box. It's all the mother box.
Right.
There you go. Well, those were our final 5. Let's go ahead and get to the giveaway.
Sure.
And the giveaway this week is also brought to you by Blackbox Comics. And the giveaway this week is Psycho List number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4. So you get the first 4 issues of Psycho List. All you gotta do is leave a comment down below. Let us know what you guys thought about the video. Let us know anything you want. All you gotta do is just leave that comment, and then you're entered to win this giveaway brought to you by Blackbox Comics. And then next week we'll announce the winner, and then we'll send you some books for free. So that's not bad, right?
Can't beat that.
Really quick, I forgot one thing. I want to mention we had an auction about a week or so ago, and there's one gentleman that paid for his auction, all set to go. He didn't send me his address. It's Crazy Ivan. If you are watching this video, your comic wants to find its new home, so please drop me a line. The email is down below. I already have all your information, your name. I just don't have your address. So please do me a favor. If you're watching, leave a comment. Let me know you're out there so we can get that book mailed off to you, because it's just sitting there waiting to go, man. You already paid for it. I want to send you your book, right?
That's right. Ivan, claim your comic.
Yeah, claim your comic. All right, that's about it. I think we covered everything on the list. I'm looking down here. We talked about Rob Liefeld. You weren't too insulting, although all your comments started off the same way. Not really a fan. I don't know what's up with that. We are going to be doing a couple of reviews. They might already be out. We're going to be reviewing a Folklords number 2. We're actually going to review that whole series as the book comes out. I think that's something we'd like to do.
Absolutely.
There's 5 issues in that run. And then we're also reviewing Wonder Woman Dead Earth.
Great book.
And we might not agree on that title. I'll just put that out there right now. So
sounds good.
Very entertaining. But Bob, you have a channel. Why don't you tell them a little bit about yours?
Absolutely. Of course, my channel is Everything Comics. Come check us out. This week's episode of Having Comics with My Coffee, I have a special guest on the show, and it's Sam from Sam's Tangled Web.
I know that guy.
And then we have another special guest who actually shows up in the middle of the episode. Tune in, and you can find out who that is. I think you'll dig it. But that's it right now. Tune in, guys. Great to see you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everybody. Appreciate you taking the time on this Monday morning. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this new format with we talk about this long subject, and we hardly ever show any books. But you know what? It's a lot of fun. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You know what to do. We'll see you next time. Bye.